Hi, I'm Daniela Cabrera, and this is a video for my final project. So I'm going to talk about Colombian serial killers. But first, I think that it's important to give you some definition of a serial killer. So it is a person who killed 3 or more people in a short period, and their motivation is based on a satisfaction provided by the crime, and also their motivation is based on by power on or a sexual compulsion. Another thing that is important to say it is that we have to keep in mind that the psychopathic behavior is a result of a role of parents' role in their childhood, because in their childhood, if they are abused or they are harassment, they become to a bad person. So I'm going to show you some Colombian serial killers. So I hope that you are enjoying this video. Bye. First, I'm going to talk about Luis Alfredo Garavito. That was the worst serial killer in Colombia. He committed the crimes in the 1990s, and he raped and murdered about 197 children in different regions of the country. His capture was when he tried to abuse a child in Villavicencio, and that day a homeless was walking by the place, but he heard the scream and he went to see what was happening. But after a fight, Garavito ran away. Also, his victims were children, and they were vulnerable victims because they were alone. And the way that Garavito accessed them was, for example, tricking them with a gift, or offer them any type of food, or even with cash. So he shot them to go with him in some empty place, and when they were alone, Garavito sexually abused them and finally murdered them in the most brutal ways. The second serial killer that we are going to talk is Freddy Armando Valencia, Monstruo de Monserrate. This man, who built a refuge in the hill of Bogota, was accused of murdering 9 women, and all of them was homeless. We don't know a lot of things about this man, but the only thing that we know is that he came to the world of drugs after the death of his mother, and although he lived in a middle-class family and did college. This guy, with 34 years old, ended up on the street as a recycle. Finally, the killing were committed through food and drugs offerings, and inviting women to their refuge to request sexual favors, and then he killed them by hanging them, and he murdered 19 women. This man was the worst homicide in Colombian history, and he was in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, and he raped and murdered more than 300 girls. Part of his life he worked as a street vendor and thief of cars, and in his childhood he lived in a dangerous Colombian streets. Once, Pedro was seduced by a man who was actually a disgusting pedophile, and who offered him a roof and a plate of hot food. Of course, he accepted, and the pedophile took him to an abandoned building in the middle of the nowhere, and there he raped him. And finally, the modus operandi of Pedro Alfonso was to follow the girls, and when he checked that she was alone, they always offered them some gift or even like cash, and they upset to go with him to a distant place. Is that when the girls lay on the ground after being raped, and he always cut their wrist to check that the blood did not continue pumping. The final serial killer was Daniel Camargo Barbosa, el sádico del Chaquito, who raped, tortured, and murdered more than 157 women in 20 years. Also, after commit his crime, he moved through Colombia, Brazil, and Ecuador. In 1967, he became a potential murderer inside him after surprising his wife Alcira having sex with another man and in his own bed. Of course, from that moment, Daniel considered that female gender as the main responsible for this unhappy life, and he wanted a revenge. Also, during the police interrogation, Camargo confessed to killing about 70 girls and boys.